What's going on YouTube? This is ParkerLad88 coming at you with another video. And in this video, I'm going to answer the questions that I talked about from my Q&A session from a couple of weeks ago. I'm sure it's been well over 2 weeks since I made that video, and I think everyone's had ample time to go through and ask any questions that they wanted to. So we're gonna go ahead and answer them. I've got my laptop right over here so I can read the questions. And without further ado, let's begin, shall we? Alright guys, let's go ahead and get started with our first question here. So the first question I'm going to read off, it doesn't look like there are too many of them, so I should be able to get through them in a pretty timely manner, I think. I'm going to go with David Rigdon, just because just looking through all these shortly, I think this is going to be like one of the easier ones to answer. So his comment states, "Love your content. I've yet to find content this good even for bigger fighting games. So what brought you to Power Rangers Battle for the Grid? Were you a Power Rangers fan already? Or did you just join for the mechanics?" Well, first of all, thank you very much. I appreciate the comments, and I know there are a lot of big fighting game channels out there, so I'm just happy that I can do my part to support this game. But to your question, so what brought me to Power Rangers was a couple of things, and you're right on both those fronts. I am a Power Rangers fan, and I did enjoy the mechanics. When I saw the very first trailer, I believe it was on Maximilian channel, and I was like, Power Rangers, I know what that is. And then I saw the gameplay, and like it looked pretty fast paced, and it had the tag mechanics, and then like the Megazords and stuff coming in. I'm just like, Megazords and like the Power Rangers doing like cool fighting video game like stuff. Like, heck yeah, I want to get on board with this. It helped that the game wasn't that expensive, but I think one of the things that stood out to me the most when I was actually like checking out the trailers and stuff like that is it was just bonkers how much damage that you could do in the game. So you had Power Rangers, you had cool tag fighting like Marvel style mechanics, you had insane damage that you could get from combos, you had Megazords, like just all that crazy stuff. Now, in reference to me being a Power Ranger fan, I'm not really a Power Ranger fan anymore. When I was a kid growing up in the 90s, when I was a kid, Power Rangers was a really big deal. I loved, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. The Blue Ranger was my favorite. Billy was my favorite because the Triceratops was my favorite dinosaur. And, I liked the way his helmet looked, and I thought that his lance was like really cool. And everything, and I stayed on board with Power Rangers until probably Turbo. Turbo is probably when I kind of got turned off, because at that particular point, like the old cast, which was, who I liked, they weren't, doing the show anymore. And then the fact that, like, one of the big appeals for me as a kid was the fact that they were in giant animal robots. So in Turbo, they were driving, like, their Zords were cars. And so that was kind of a turn off for me, because it was like of all the creative things they could do, like they've done like dinosaurs, they've done like, Zeo had like Tauros and like mythical creatures, and you had the Ninja Zords and everything. And so it's like, of all the things they could have come up with, I'm just like, their Zords are cars. I can drive a car. Okay, I think I'm done with this. So, yep, that's pretty much all of that. So I hope you got the answer you were looking for. Let's see. Next up, let's go with Gappy's comment. He said, "Are there any up-and-coming fighting games that you are really looking forward to?" So I think for this year, the main fighting games that are coming up are going to be Guilty Gear Strive, Grand Blue Fantasy, and even though Dragon Ball FighterZ is already out, their Season 3, it essentially makes the game kind of a new game. So let's say they're like 2.5 games for this year, at least I'm aware of. Unless Capcom announces something like at EVO, with Marvel being a part of EVO. Woo! Super excited about that. Marvel's back. I cannot wait for like Sentinel, like just like 3 or 4 hours of just Sentinel battles for air superiority and all that fun stuff. But anyway, so I don't think there's really a fighting game I'm really specifically looking forward to. I guess out of all the fighting games right now, I'm probably the most excited for Fighters, just because even though it's not really a new fighting game, but they're adding so many changes to the game, between balance changes and the extra assists and everything, that I'm super excited to start playing that game again. and maybe making some of the characters that I play who aren't so good, more viable. So that in combination with the system mechanics, new characters, Kefla's coming out, so I'm super excited about that. Guilty Gear Strive, I'm interested in. Strive? I'm interested in it. I wouldn't say I'm particularly excited for it. So when Guilty Gear Xrd came out, I was like, wow, I've never played a Guilty Gear game before. This could be my one chance to get into Guilty Gear. Never did. Rev 2 came out. It was on sale. I was like, yo, it's on sale. Like, this is perfect. This is the perfect excuse for me to actually start getting into Guilty Gear. I played through the tutorial mode, I messed around with biking and training, and then I never went back to it. Not because I didn't enjoy it, but just because there were just so many other games that were out that I wanted to play as well, so I kind of missed my window there. So when Strive comes out, I am genuinely interested in Stride, whichever one it is. I'm hoping that there's some characters that I can resonate with, and I'm really interested in actually, playing a Guilty Gear game. One other problem I kind of had with Xrd was the fact that there weren't really a lot of characters that I resonated with. Guilty Gear definitely has a wacky cast, and I definitely appreciate how unique each character is from all the other characters. It's kind of why I like Skullgirls so much, in addition to just, Skullgirl's own charm. But each character is so individualized and so specific in their game plan. It's like I really appreciate that. But the only character that I really actually liked in any capacity was Ramenthal. So I was like, I don't want to play this game just for one character, so I'm hoping that there will be at least more than one character that I like for Strive to warrant paying $60 for it, if that's what it ends up being. Hopefully there's some interesting new characters. I hope there's some interesting returning characters. Faust looks kind of cool, but I don't know, we'll see. And then what's the other one? Oh yeah, Grand Blue Fantasy Versus. I'm also interested in Grand Blue Fantasy. Not particularly excited, but I am interested. The game I know is already out in Japan, but it'll be out at the beginning of next month, I believe, in March. And the game, it doesn't have a huge cast, but there are some characters I'm interested in playing. I'm interested in playing Charlotta. I'm interested in playing Zeta. Like, all the characters look cool, the visuals look amazing, the soundtrack, from what I've heard, is really good as well. So I definitely think the visual appeal of it is really, really exciting. I've heard some things about the gameplay as far as it being kind of basic and auto combo focused that maybe kind of like, but I'm still interested in the game. If it ends up being $60 at release, I probably won't get it. I'll probably wait for a sale, maybe like knock it down to 40 and I'll pick it up, just because the roster right now is kind of small as well, so it's a little bit less. But interested. Nothing super duper hyped, but I am interested in some things. Okay, so let's see. Next question. Alright, Squishy Gaming says, things you'd like to see next for Battle for the Grid Season 3. So, honestly, in my opinion, I think that Power Rangers is a really good place right now. I really kind of just want them to leave the game alone for a little while and kind of just let it simmer. Like, I feel like there've been, ever since, like, the first lull, and we got that patch with the first wave of DLC characters, I think it was, Zeo Gold and Time Force and all of them. Since then, there have been like a lot of changes with the game. Characters have been changing like so much. Like, there are multiple characters that I've made the what changed videos for, where it's like I've had to do iterations of them over and over and over again. And I feel like the game is in like a really good spot where I can kind of just like simmer. And I really don't want the game to change too much more than how it has now. As far as like characters, like I said before, I kind of fell off with Power Rangers as far as like actively watching it after Turbo. So as long as they bring in cool new character, like as long as the characters look cool and their gameplay looks cool, then I'm gonna check them out, And I've done tutorials for every single character up to this point, so I feel like I kind of have to, as well. But as long as they keep on making cool characters, making them look cool and do cool things, then I'll pick them up. As far as things I specifically want, the only thing honestly that I really want is more stages. I just want stages. I don't really care what extra characters they add. I don't really care about them adding new mechanics or anything like that. I just want more stages. I feel like I like some of the stages that they have, but it just feels like because they're so... I just want more places to cycle through whenever I'm playing the game. Like, it took them forever to put in the version of the Cenozoic era with the giant tower. You could only get that on random select, But yeah, I just want more places to fight in. I want to fight in like space. I want to fight like by the water or in the snow, or just give me more stages. That's really the only thing I really want. As far as other things, I think the game could use more colors. I would like more colors. Just more any excuse to customize my character to my liking. So more colors would be nice. The Thunder Megazord. Thunder Megazord is probably my favorite Megazord, so if they added any Megazord to the game, I'd want them to add Thunder Megazord. And Ivan Ooze. Ivan Ooze has to be a DLC character somewhere down the line. I need the Ooze! And that's pretty much all. That's pretty much all I would want. It's just really just stages, but Ivan Ooze would be pretty cool too. All right, let's move on to another. I don't know how to pronounce this. Like VKAM. FQAM, I'm not sure. I'm sorry. But anyway, your question is, what games did you play growing up? So I was a Genesis kid when I grew up. Now my grandmother, she did have like the old style Nintendo that she played like Super Mario Brothers and like Centipede, right, and Duck Hunt and all that kind of stuff. So I kind of grew up with everything, but at my core, I was a Genesis man. I grew up with Sonic and Streets of Rage, Vector Man, Golden Axe, all that kind of stuff. But my brother and I, we played video games so much that, any chance we got as a kid, like if we went to our uncle's system, we'd always try to rent like a different system, like N64 or like Sega Saturn or something like that, when Blockbuster was still a thing, right? So yeah, that's pretty much what I grew up on. All right, so the last question that we're going to answer is coming to us from BPW, and he asked, what is your favorite game and why? And it doesn't need to be a fighting game. Well, at my core, I am a platformer. I do love platformers. There's just something I like exploring worlds. I like interacting with worlds. I like climbing like all over stuff and finding goodies and stuff like that. So I really do like platformers. Now, as far as what my favorite game is, I actually don't have one. I actually don't have a favorite game. I have games I really like, so I'm going to give you a couple. I have games that I really like, but I don't have any one game that stands out amidst all the games that I played as just being my absolute favorite that I can always go back to and just be like, I love this game and I can just play for forever. The closest thing to that would be Streets of Rage, but even so, Streets of Rage isn't like my favorite. I do love that game, but it's not my favorite. So I'm going to give you a couple of games that I guess I can say kind of had the biggest impact on me or that I enjoyed the most, as I was coming up. So, when I was a kid, like I said, I was raised on Genesis, and it was all about two games primarily. It was Sonic 3 and Knuckles, and it was Streets of Rage. I love Streets of Rage. Now, I actually enjoy the first Streets of Rage more than the second Streets of Rage. Streets of Rage 2 is definitely a better game than the first Streets of Rage, but I just enjoy Streets of Rage 1 so much more, just because I think the music is better, and the team attack, as silly as that is. I know that Streets of Rage 2 has so much more, but there are just so many more like head-bobbing tracks for me in the first one, like the boss theme. I love the boss theme. I love Moon Beach, I believe. That's the third stage where you're on the beach. I love that tune so much. And the team attacks were just fun. I like being able to grab onto like my brother's character and sling him, and then he'd do like a charge into like the next character. And then I enjoyed the cops. I kind of wish they brought back like the cops that you would call in some capacity. But yeah, I really love Streets of Rage. Well, I haven't played through 3 yet. That was something that our brother and I just started doing. But I love the whole Streets of Rage series of games, but Streets of Rage 1 is probably my personal favorite of all of them. So Sonic 3 and Knuckles, Streets of Rage, that's what I grew up on. When I was in high school, my most influential games during that time were the original Star Wars Battlefront 2 and Armored Core, more specifically Silent Line. My best friend, I think the first game we played together was Armored Core 3. And then after that, I went on to play the rest of them out of order, but I went and played them all, and Silent Line was the one that stuck to me the most. And similar to other platformers, it had everything I loved. Like, you could build your own robot from scratch. Like, everything from the weapons all the way down to the freaking, like, lock-on system and everything. like just in all the parts and just the amount of customization, colors, and everything. It was bonkers how much stuff you had. You could find weapons in the game just by looking around, or if you fulfilled certain requirements, they would give you weapons and stuff like that. The arcade mode, essentially, like where you actually face other ravens and stuff like that, was awesome. And then they also had an AI. You could build an AI or make an AI and have them fight. You could fight as the AI, and then they would learn from that, and then you could go on to face your friends, and the AI would be with you, or you could fight against your own AI. I made some really, really mean ones too. I remember that I made a tank one once. It was so crazy. It had for any of you guys who play Armored Core, he had the yellow moonlight blade. He had a grenade launcher. He had the hand Gatling gun, and then I think he had just like basic missiles like on his back, and it was the most aggressive thing that I ever built. And in Armored Core, when you are a tank, stabbing does a lot more damage than slashing, which the tanks have. So you stabbed somebody twice and they were dead. That tank was mean. Ugh, it was the worst thing I ever made. Funny story. I have so many memories with it, but this was the best one that I had. So the thing that you always wanted in Armored Core was something called I can't remember. It was a specific type of like targeting system called like a F-ops or something, but it basically lets you use like all the back weapons, because normally when you don't have it, you have to sit still in one place, you know, to use like the back mounted weapons. But this one lets you just fly all over the place, and you could use like all the fun weapons and stuff like that without having to be like a tank or like a quadruped. Now, if you S-rank every single mission in Armored Core, you would get that. So I endeavored to do that, and I got through every single one of those missions, except there was this one mission where you literally had to defend an airport from missiles, and I could never, for the life of me, get an S rank on it. It was the very last mission that I had to, no, last of 2 missions I had to S rank, and during that time, I think like either my best friend or I looked it up online, but I found out that if you played Armored Core 3, they just give it to you, and you have to unlock all the extra things that it gives you. But if you have that part and you transfer your save file over to Silent Line, since it was basically an extension of 3, then you get everything. And my best friend, I think, told me that as soon as I was on the last mission. So all that time I basically just wasted. I wasted it. It was horrible, but that was quite a memory that I had. So those are probably a couple of my favorite games. Talking on Battlefront 2, for like anybody who's played the original Battlefront 2 knows why. Awesome heroes, you could, you know, play with your friends, and you could like, man, all the different vehicles and all the classes, you know, were awesome. For the Republic, and you had, you know, Galactic Conquest and stuff like that. It was just it was a fantastic game. Anyway, guys, that will do it for this Q&A. I hope you guys learned a little something about me. I enjoyed answering these questions for you, and, you know, I hope that I can do this again, like, you know, somewhere down the line, maybe for like my 1,000 subscriber or something like that. Anyway, guys, that'll do it for this video, and I'll be back to you later with future videos. This is Parker Ladd, and I will see you guys next time.